Are you struggling to close deals? Cold outreach is wasting the time of both the buyer and seller at every stage, especially when sellers are using shallow and outdated data. Your organization can overcome these challenges with technology that translates comprehensive, high-quality buyer data into real-time insights. These deeper insights empower sales reps and teams to adopt the habits of top performers, which leads to better outcomes, like more pipeline, higher win rates, and larger deals. We call this deep sales. And we've built the first deep sales platform with the next generation of LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Right now, you can try LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get a 60-day free trial at linkedin.com/trial. That's linkedin.com/trial for a 60-day free trial. Let LinkedIn Sales Navigator help you sell like a superstar today. Just go to linkedin.com/trial and get started.
Hey guys, and welcome to Criminality, the podcast where we know loving reality TV isn't a crime. And thank goodness it isn't a crime this week, because breaking news, Rebekah, you have been quite busy. What is it with reality TV that you've been doing this week?
This is huge. I actually,
no.
This is great. This is perfect. When you said breaking news, I really wish we have like newscaster music. Like, yeah. Because this is big. I made good on my gift to you. And
Thank you.
I started watching Sister Wives, and I'm in so deep, so hard. I'm losing sleep, possibly brain cells.
Definitely.
I'm thinking about things I've never thought about before. I have so many thoughts and feelings. So I'm really glad we decided to do a little, it's not a recap. We're doing like a rehash, not a rehash. We're hashing out our feelings about Sister Wives in advance of replaying your Sister Wives episode, BiGAMY Love, which I'm honestly about to re-listen to because it's going to make a lot more sense.
I mean, I don't know entirely. I did re-listen because I was curious to how, like, what I've even learned in the meantime, because I'm also doing a rewatch, but I had watched them season by season. So it's been over several years. So there's so much that I had forgotten.
Oh my gosh.
It's a wild story. So Rebekah, we will talk a little about what has happened in your life now with Sister Wives, and then we will be replaying the episode. As you said, we wanted to make a quick note. Meri, who is the first sister wife, Kody's first wife, she had a child who, at the time that we recorded this, was going by her birth name, which was Mariah. Now they have chosen to change their name to Leon. So as you listen to the episode, you will hear us refer to them as Mariah. They now go by Leon, but at the time we didn't know that. So that's where, if you hear that, it's not a mistake.
Yeah,
the before time. Where it was at the time.
That was a recent event.
Right.
Before the episode was originally recorded. Yes.
So Rebekah, let's get into it. You and your daughter have taken this on.
Yeah, I can't believe she agreed to watch it with me. I mean, I'm not surprised. As I told you, she has, she's not above this garbage. Yeah. Mm. By not above this garbage, I mean, she has great taste. Toddlers and Tiara, Love Island, all of it. So we started it together, and it's been a bonding experience. It's opened up some interesting conversations, truly. But we're really in, and we're really, really invested in. I mean, you made a lot of accurate predictions for me. Like, you're going to fall in love with the kids. The kids are great. And I am,
right.
I love them sincerely. And
as their fifth mother,
I feel a level of protection over them as though I am another mother. And some of them I'm obsessed with more than others. Like, sure. I cannot with Truly. She is such a little chickadee. Like, and she's like talking now in the episodes where I am. Like, she was a bald little bird, and now she's this talking thing. And I can't.
I love that you call her a bald little bird, because it is so funny. She's so blonde and has like no hair. I would have called her a Q-tip. I think a bald little bird is so much better. She is adorable. So the cutest.
And like, the name Truly really bothered me at first. And now I'm like, there is no other name for her. She is Truly. And, I'm jumping way ahead, but we just watched the Truly got sick and recovered episode. And I was fully in tears when she walked into the house and they had the welcome home Truly sign and everyone cheered. And I was just bawling. Like she really almost died.
Yeah, it's not like how they tease us on some reality shows or like the Heather Eye incident. It's like, no, she was in kidney failure.
This was I could not believe it when they were like, it's acute kidney failure. And she was like a 2-year-old baby. I was just so upset. But yeah, look, I don't know. Maybe you have some better way to start this because my mind is going a million miles a minute with thoughts.
As it should. So, Rebekah, your initial thoughts on Kody. So initially you said with Kody, you and your daughter were like, he's dorky, but whatever. Do you still feel that way? Or do you have a burning, seething anger that rises in you when you see his face?
A little bit more of the second one.
Okay.
So at first we were just like, he's corny. Like we cannot stand him. Like I find him to be one of those grown men that still acts like an older teenager. Is just like immature, really immature. Mm-hmm. And I think what I mentioned to you was that he was giving a lot of like youth pastor from the 90s energy.
Yes.
Like he thinks he's way cooler than he is and funnier than he is, has to be the smartest in the room. Things like that really bother me. But I didn't find him problematic beyond that, other than would never be attracted to him, wouldn't have gone on one date with him. His younger year pictures, he's far more handsome.
Good looking man, yes.
He had like a nice face and a better haircut, but still wouldn't have been like attracted to him because I can only imagine in his prime of youth how insufferable he must have been.
Right.
But yeah, slowly, you know, and I'll also say I thought he would come off far more like a Chris Chrisley.
We are doing
Chosen Todd Chrisley. And like, I'm the patriarch. And he is like that, but he's also clearly takes into account his 4 wives and their opinion. So I didn't find him to be like ruling with this iron fist that I thought he would. But I think he does. I think it's a little more subtle and manipulative. And I think it's getting worse, what I'm seeing. But at first I was like, I don't know that he's the monster everyone's talking about or that might be coming. Because right now he seems like innocuous, like benign, but really annoying, right?
Yeah.
So that's changed.
It's probably since right before they moved to Flagstaff. So I don't think you guys are there yet. Yeah. So it's like when he's talking to them about the move to Arizona, you see it starting to really unravel. So all the things you said he's not doing, he is doing now.
Okay.
Like he fully says, I'm in charge of the houses. Yeah. This is a patriarchy and you guys can follow it. That's what you signed up for. Like those words.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah. He's saying all the quiet things out loud now. And he wasn't before. And so there was enough of a likability where you're like, not for me, but like he doesn't seem to be ruining these people's lives. And now you're like, oh, I hate him. He's the worst.
I will say where I am. And I followed your brilliant guide that you promised us and you delivered. And then some. So we watched 4 seasons straight through. Then we did like a couple 5, a couple 6, and then like, I think something. And anyway, and then we started jumping as per your suggestions. And we're in 9 now. And I will say he's getting angrier. They're on a vacation in Alaska. And and then they're showing like what's coming next. And I can he's getting angrier. Like it's like bubbling up. And also like the pressure of that big of a family. I don't know how they all aren't exploding at all times, but
I know
that's another conversation. This is my big burning question, which isn't juicy or anything. But before we get to them moving to Flagstaff, what was never clear to me was the investigation was happening in Utah and they moved to Vegas. Right. Was it ever explained why Las Vegas?
I know they had visited there and I think they knew some people there.
Oh,
and I think
so
it was just Okay. Like this Sin City where it just kind of was like they can easily just be themselves because everything goes in Vegas. It didn't seem like they would have that. Yeah, like as opposed to moving to, I don't know where else, but Las Vegas, literally Sin City. So they were just like,
yes,
they have other things to do.
Okay. Just making sure I didn't miss something like there's a legal loophole there or it's legal or I don't know. Okay.
He and Christine went on a trip there, I think, one time
so
when they bring their, is that the one where they bring their family therapist?
No, that just happened. That was in Galveston, Texas. Also home of Bob Durst, or one of Bob Durst's homes in murder locations, but
I always think Fred Durst every time Bob Durst comes up. It takes
there's
me
another
second,
Durst
like,
there.
The Nookie. All right.
Oh, so many Dursts. Yeah, I mean, what really we need to discuss is like the wives, because that's a little bit more of a complex journey. I think we're comfortable in our growing dislike of Kody, especially knowing what comes later. But I'm going through such a roller coaster with how I feel about each wife.
Okay, so let's get started. Very early on, you sent me a text that said, when I asked, do you have a favorite wife? You said, we need more time. I don't hate Meri. I need to know if you'd like to keep that as your formal opinion or if you have changed your mind and come to Jesus.
Oh, wow. No pressure. I have a favorite wife now. It's not Meri. It's never contending to be Meri. I was just simply saying, like, I don't hate her. I know you weren't a fan, but I was like, I don't hate her. Christine is definitely the most likable,
right?
The most one I'd want to be around. You know, it just, she seems like she's the funniest. She seems the most sincere. She has it all going on to me.
Right. She's got like a sparkle about her, right?
She has an absolute sparkle.
You don't want anybody to dull that. Like, she's just her, and that's who she is, and you love it. Yeah.
Yes.
Totally.
I still don't hate Meri. I feel a little bad for her.
I can see that.
I don't hate any of them. I get frustrated with Meri, and I get frustrated with Janelle. I get frustrated with Robyn.
Get out of here with your Janelle hate. That will not be tolerated, but Robyn is fine.
Well, no, there's no Janelle hate at all. I get frustrated because I think she's actually of sound mind most of the time, but she's passive. And she comes to things in her own time, and she brings so much wisdom, but sometimes I just wish she would like assert herself more rather. And like, I don't know, she seems glazed, like her eyes are a little glazed over in the beginning to where I'm like, is she okay? Is she happy, healthy with us? You know what I mean? Like, is she taking something to kind of, because she's so sad? I don't know. Yeah. But I don't dislike her at all. She seems super smart.
So smart.
Like maybe too smart.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like, she is too smart for this nonsense. But she seems very, to me, it's like you were saying, it takes her a while to arrive at a certain point, but every decision she makes is very methodical. She's thought it all through. So like, no, she wasn't going to leave Kody 25 years ago, but once she's seen some of the stuff he said about her on TV and her kids, she's done. You know, she's gotten to that point, but it took her a while. But you understand, because she really tried. And even when he's saying this crazy stuff to her, she really is trying with him. She's really like, I don't see it that way. And, you know, you're my best friend and you're who I want to tell everything to. And he just doesn't even have a response because he's a monster.
Yeah, he is so annoying. What I also like about Janelle, really, he just makes me cringe.
Yeah.
Is that she's not as like hokey as the rest of them. Like, I can tell she like tolerates a lot. And girls, same. Like at those big family gatherings, it's a lot. Like it would be a lot for certain personality types, and clearly hers is one of them. Like it's a lot. It's a lot of extroversion. It's a lot of noise. It's a lot of high energy. And she's like said very clearly from the beginning, I'm really good working and letting the other moms like read to the kids. And like, I come home and I'm all with them, but I've spent my day elsewhere. And like, that seems to be her happy place.
Yeah. But I love that honesty, because even several years ago, I don't think we heard that as much, where she's like, I'd rather not be at home all day with my kids. Yeah. And she adores her kids, but she knows that like in a few hours, those few hours she has with them, she makes it count. They're well loved. They're well cared for. With Christine, like who wouldn't want to as a kid be around Christine? She's perfect.
Well, that kind of brings me to the most complicated part of watching Sister Wives for the first time. And I think I've shared some of this with you, you know, on the phone, is like text message. Yeah. Don't get it twisted. We do not talk on the phone. Only time we talk face to face is on the podcast. Who wouldn't want a sister wife when your kids are young?
I absolutely 100% would have signed up for it early on. Like,
right? This
share the husband. I don't care.
I mean, it's actually ideal. Like, let's be real.
Once every 4 days. perfect.
Truly, it sounds like a win. Like in certain, I didn't expect that. I guess I thought I would watch it and be like, I just can't understand it. And there are people who are so possessive and like jealous and
right.
All of the, I have those things in me, but not to the point where I couldn't see the benefit. And like when Truly was sick and the rest of the family just pitched in because Christine had to sleep at the hospital and just, you know, take Kody out of it. Cause I don't think he does enough well, like his parenting. I mean, how can you parent well that many children when you're floating from home to home? I think that's really challenging. And I think, you know, I don't know if he does his best. I don't think he does his best. I think he did maybe in the beginning, but for the women, like that's a real, it's like I think what a lot of people rely on extended family for nowadays,
right.
but most people don't live near their mom or their mother-in-law or their sister. And that's the only thing I can compare it to is like the feeling of when it's your mom or mother-in-law and not a babysitter or a paid person helping you. It's like, it's a different level. It brings its own complications, of course, but it's also this level of safety and trust and love for your children that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, and their bond
totally
is like indisputable. I mean, they are like committed
their other
to one another.
Yeah. Christine adores Janelle's kids, and she's, you know, you'll see later on where it's like, where are we going to go? Are we going to Robyn and Dad's house, or are we going with Christine? And Janelle's kids are like, Christine, she's like, that's who we want to be with. We love Christine. Saying that to Janelle, and Janelle's like, great, me too. You know?
Man, yeah.
And so I don't know, their relationship I think is really special, but but the thing with Robyn is she always said she wanted this family and she wanted this relationship, but she's the one very early on who had a nanny move in with her. Like there was no need for a nanny.
I haven't seen that.
They won't say it. That's the thing. We find out 2 seasons ago that she has a nanny, but we never knew she had a nanny.
Why would the producers leave that out of the story?
I don't know.
Or maybe she doesn't film.
And early on, yes, she doesn't film, but early on, I think it was just more like here's our great family, blah, 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 blah. And then drama started to come out like, oh, it's not this perfect family. So I don't know if maybe that was just the edit it was taking. And, you know, I don't know, but yeah, it comes up, the whole, what does the nanny do? That comes up later, but we had no idea prior to that. So
interesting, because I haven't gotten to the point where I dislike Robyn so much. I think she always has the right answer. Like she says the right things.
Sure.
But there's something like affected about her or something insincere. I don't know how else to say it, but I also in the beginning really felt for her. Like I said to you, she wants in on this for the help. Like, yeah. And who could blame her? I mean, it sounds like she had a really tough marriage. Yeah. And she had 3 kids, one of whom, you know, seemed like a lot of work, and she was working and barely making ends meet. Who wouldn't want like suddenly 3 women to come and like lighten the load and a very doting husband? Yeah. I was like, I feel for her, but I'm getting skeptical.
I think that, but they were all like, hey, we'll take care of them. We'll be part of it. But she kind of always kept herself on the outside where it was like, I want them to be my sisters, but like also they can't watch my kids. And there was this one time Meri was like heartbroken and wanted to take Solomon, you know, their oldest kid, to Arizona, which I was like, I don't know that I would just be like, sure, take him. Yeah. But they were like, no. And that's just not how they roll, because they're all kind of like this big family. Yeah. And so it was kind of interesting. She treats her kids very differently than the other kids. I haven't
seen that yet. Okay.
Yeah, you'll kind of see it. And I will say on this rewatch, I've tried to watch with a little more compassion for her because of where she's been, and thought like, okay, I want to come up with my own opinions and not just what I've heard. And there are times that I do feel bad for her, because I do think he is a monster and she just is the nicest one to him, or listens to him the most.
Yes, and I think that too.
Would be a lot to take in. So if you're the only one listening to this person and they're always telling you what to do, so you always have to do everything to keep them happy, I don't think she is happy. Right. So I don't know so much if she's a monster or if she is just a big victim in this. I mean, she plays a victim too, so that's where it's hard for me.
That's exactly it. Yes, there's like, she says the right thing, but there's something under it I can't quite like trust. And with all 3 of the others, even when I get frustrated with Meri, I never feel like they're not genuine or authentic. Robyn's the only one who's not challenging Kody. And that sounds like a real more than full-time job if you're in that position.
Totally. And if you notice, anytime they vote on anything or whatever, her opinion always comes last. She'll always say, well, I'll wait. And then later seasons, they're like, no, Robyn, we want you to go first, because they know her opinion's going to be whatever Kody's opinion is. So she's waiting for him to say hers. Yeah. So in that sense, it's but also I feel bad, because if that's what you think you have to do all the time, that's a miserable life. My gosh.
Yeah, and I'm sure her first relationship, informs how this one is going and what she's doing to, salvage it and make sure it stays intact. It's so complicated. I mean, think about the complicated dynamics with staying with one person for 10 plus years and now add in 3 other, relationships that all bring their own flow and dynamic. That's the part where I'm just like, oh God, I definitely am not built for this. And watching when some go away on, like, when one couple just goes away for an anniversary or a date, like, that gets a little weird and awkward. And like just this unspoken, we don't really ask about the private, like, intimate parts of each other's marriage, which of course they don't, but also how could they not? Like, they're all could with they the ignore same it? Man, it is so, then I'm like, oh, right. This is polygamy, Rebekah. Like, you actually didn't ever want this. Please put your feet back on the ground and stop eyeing your neighbors. Like, who can I get in on this racket?
Exactly. Well, what are your feelings as you're watching the kids get a little bit older, like Kody's relationships with the older kids? Are you noticing that the older kids and the younger kids, he has a different relationship, or are you not really there yet? Or I
don't think I'm really there yet. And if there's any changes, they're subtle. He started, we watched a lot of like, purity talks, which were really tough, and like
hormones in your mouth.
Yes. That clip, which I remember, I think you showed me that.
I probably sent it. It's upsetting.
Either in the episode or just some other random time. All these things just now with context mean so much more, but, so many purity talks with the older ones. Okay. What I love the most about the show is the older kids on the couch speaking so candidly about their lives, their emotions, their opinion on plural families, and will they be polygamists. I give these kids so much credit.
Right?
I don't know how they're able to be so articulate and honest at that age on TV. It's really admirable, I think.
To me, it's way different than any other reality show with kids. Like, all of them are pretty normal. None of them are really influencers.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay. None of them are that. Clearly I'm not either. One of them sells LuLaRoe, but besides that, like, they're not.
Did they get the memo about
No. Neither did Meri. They're still doing it.
Oh Lord.
So none of them have turned into that. It's very much like, this is just our family, and we don't repeat scenes. We don't do any of this. It's like literally capturing their family. But yeah, I think Janelle has a lot to do with the outspokenness, where they're like, I don't want to live polygamy. This isn't for me. Because she's very quick to say, we have raised our kids to believe what they want to and to find that on their own. And they're all doing that. Whatever they're doing, the moms, I would say, are very supportive of their kids in those endeavors. Even some of them going back to the Mormon church when they're really not accepted, because at that point, because their families are very, very public as plural families, McKelty and Maddie went through that. And they're still supporting their kids if that's what they want to do. Wow. And I have a lot of respect for that.
I do too. Yeah, I do think there's a real like wholesomeness to the kids and the family. And that is a testament to the parenting and to the moms, the wives. Like, they don't seem to be seeking fame or, you see their lifestyle change. Clearly they made some money on the show, and they were able to, I still can't believe they pulled off building those houses on that cul-de-sac in Vegas. But it's not the same, like, these are not housewives' kids. These are not, these are not like any of the shows we've covered on this podcast. And I find them very refreshing. I was very worried about Hunter for a little bit.
He's so great.
Rebekah, really like him a lot. I have an inappropriate
crush on him. Yeah. He is very good looking, but like, he is so kind and loves his siblings. And like, when Isabel has her surgery, he travels like 4 hours to go see her to make sure like he could be there for her.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Kody doesn't do any of that, but it was just like, man, Janelle, I don't know. She's just a good mom.
I will say it's hard for me to keep track of whose kids are whose, with a couple exceptions. Like, obviously, Leon is with Meri because she has one kid. So that was always like easy for me. And then Truly with Christine, because that was like her pregnancy and her birth. But I don't know that there's a big portion in the middle where I'm like, I cannot always assign the moms.
Sure.
So that's helpful that you can.
Yeah. Christine has like all girls and then Peyton. And then Janelle has all boys, and then Maddie and Savannah.
Right. Oh, and Savannah, yeah.
So besides that, I mean, I feel like that's kind of an easier way.
There were these crazy moments. These are things you do when you start watching. We'll pause it, and Annabelle and I will be like, "Can we name all the kids?" And we're like, "Wait, there's 4 kids that we don't even know their name." And then we're like, "Oh my gosh, it's Gabriel and Garrison. Like, who are they? Where are they in the lineup?" And then we have to Google them and who's got Instagram. I mean, the rabbit holes we've gone down because of this show are just ridiculous, but we're really, really liking it. And so the last thing I watched was that Galveston, Texas. Meri gets catfished is actually the last thing I just watched.
Yes. Any thoughts on that? Based on how they're presenting it, what do you think happened with what they are currently telling you? What do you feel like happened?
It's so cryptic.
It is. They refer it to as the dark time. They don't call it the catfish situation anymore. But what do you think happened?
I mean, there's what she told them at the table and then what she says in her confessional. Very different things. But even what she says in the confessional isn't that much. But she was like in like an emotional affair with who she thought was a guy online.
Right.
But it turned out it was a woman.
Right.
But some exchange happened or something empowered the woman, not Meri. She's got some power over Meri, and Mary's literally acting like she needs to leave the family to protect them because of this information secret damage something.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting.
Yeah, the way they set it up is she's basically saying this person is going to ruin our family's lives. But she's telling the family, I was friends with this person. They lied to me. They were really funny, but that's it. But then to producers, she's basically like, yeah, they really liked me. I enjoyed their company. And you're like, okay, fair. But she won't ever actually admit that. She turns it into they're trying to like extort our family, something like that. So at first Kody's like, oh my gosh, how is this happening? But I think she's never honest with what happened, which was she was vulnerable and she was talking to this person and thought they were someone else and thought maybe she wanted to leave her life and run off with this person, but she never will admit. Have you ever had that moment when you're leaving the house and you wonder, did I lock the door? Or worse yet, you start spiraling and you imagine all the what ifs. I used to feel that way all the time, but it wasn't until a few years ago when I heard about a break-in just a few blocks away that I realized I needed to really step up my home security game. And now I can spiral about the what ifs on things that don't matter, like reality stars, instead of the what ifs of home security. We've had SimpliSafe protecting our house for the last few years now, and it's a total game changer. With SimpliSafe's Fast Protect monitoring, I know within 5 seconds if something's actually up, and the lifeguards can actually speak to intruders to stop them. That's faster than a reality TV star can throw a drink. One of the things I really love the most is you're not locked into some over-the-top 90-day fiancé level contract drama. SimpliSafe is actually affordable as well, less than $1 a day with no hidden fees, so it's easy to love. It's no wonder they've been named Best Home Security Systems by U.S. News and World Report for 5 years running. Whether you want to install it yourself, it really takes less than an hour, or have a professional handle it, SimpliSafe is as easy as flipping channels between Chimp Crazy and The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. So why wait for the drama to happen? Get SimpliSafe and know your home is covered just like I did. Protect your home with 50% off a new SimpliSafe system, plus a free indoor security camera when you sign up for Fast Protect monitoring. Just visit simplysafe.com/criminality. That's simplysafe.com/criminality. There's no safe like SimpliSafe.
Okay, it's time to commit. 2024 is the year for prioritizing yourself. Begin your new smile journey with Byte, and you could start seeing results in just 2 to 3 weeks. Just order your at-home impression kit today for only $14.95 at Byte.com. Byte Clear aligners are doctor-directed and delivered to your door. Treatment costs thousands less than braces. Plus, they offer financing options, accept eligible insurance, and you can pay with your HSA, FSA. Get 80% off your impression kit when you use code WONDERY at Byte.com. That's BYTE.com. Start your confidence journey today with Byte.
Admit that. So I think it's hard to even forgive someone if they can't be honest with what happened. But at the same time, he has 3 other wives. Like, of course she's lonely. Like, she has no other kids at home.
And I did feel for her. I mean, one kid, when they leave, and like her house must be so quiet in comparison to the others, which brings us to another point of like, it's a big house, Meri. You know, it could
Huge
be
house.
a little more insulated if you just had a few less square feet. But, you know, who am I to say how plural marriages should allocate square footage? I don't know about these things, but it seemed like it had to be even Steven, and that made no sense to me. But
no, and neither did it.
Financially, they were
Janelle.
so stretched. It was,
Yeah, it seemed like and as they moved to Flagstaff, Meri rents a 3-story house that literally has an elevator in it. And Janelle's in a house probably 1,500 square feet. And she has like 4 kids at home, and it's older, and Kody doesn't even really like it. But she's like, why am I going to have this huge house? I don't need all that room.
Yeah.
And Janelle's always very quick to be like, I don't need that room. And even Cody's like, you need 1 extra bedroom. She's like, no, don't need it.
Right. So practical. So what inspires the move to Flagstaff? Can you remind me? Because I'm not there yet. I'm sure this comes up in the episode because that's when the real estate stuff happens, right?
No. Kody claims to them that they would be stupid not to move now. The housing market, the selling value, they can sell it within a couple months. They're going to make so much money.
Wait, sorry, pause. Oh, yeah. Approximately what year do we think this is?
I guarantee it was like 2007 when everything crashed, but I know it wasn't. But it didn't make sense. He bases everything on emotion and like showmanship or something. Yep. So he just very much is like, he literally has a poster that's like, the market's here, in a year it's going to be here. So we have to move.
That he drew.
Yes, he does. You'll love this sign. And so anyway, he talks about that. He says to them, like, we have to move. Where we go one, we go all. So we're all going to be moving. Vegas was never the final destination for them. It was like where they had to go, which that part I can understand. But he's saying in 2 months, we have to move. We have to sell our houses. They'll sell immediately. I'd like to tell you right now, it was over a year for at least one of the houses. Like nothing sold. It sold for way less than they thought. Every plan he had completely was wrong, and they all bought into it, but only because they didn't really have a choice. There wasn't a choice in the conversation. Where we go one, we go all. So everyone has to go. And that's where you really see.
Because just for that reason, he thought they were going to make so much money.
So much money. He is a genius, Rebekah.
And he just dragged everyone when they announced when they announced their move from Utah to Vegas and the kids' different reactions. That was so heartbreaking.
Wasn't it? And like, we're moving on Monday. You can't tell any of your friends.
Yeah. Not finishing up the school year, all of it. I mean, look, I know that happens. People have to do it all the time.
Sure.
I didn't understand why they were doing it. That investigation seemed like, where did that go, by the way?
Yeah.
I need to re-listen to our episode.
Yeah. Maybe I should too. I mean, they kept investigating, but it wasn't even enough to like get you extradited over state lines.
And so then why Arizona? Was that just like a spin of the globe and a...
Well, the theory is that Robyn's oldest son, Dayton, was accepted to school in Flagstaff. And, you know, she's never going to leave her kids. And so that's the theory of why they moved there.
School or like a private school?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it looks beautiful. I'll say that. It looks absolutely gorgeous. But there was nothing else there for them. So that's kind of where that theory is.
Oh my gosh, I have so much more to watch. I can't even believe it. My husband was like, how many seasons are there? Like, did you tell her you'd watch the whole thing? He was so concerned. And although, by the way, we got a TV. I think I told you this.
Yeah.
We've been on TV free. No, clearly I watch TV, but just on computers.
Right.
But we just got a TV. So I'm watching them on like really, this show has been like my first watch on a proper television, which it really is. Like, I need to go watch some like HD films, like capital F films.
Yeah.
Because this is just such, like, every time my husband walks by, I will say he stops and watches while standing for a couple minutes.
I know.
I think there's something mesmerizing, if not just seeing like how many shirts are they wearing? Like so many.
There's layers. There's
layers on layers on layers. Modesty, I get it, but can't they just wear a long sleeve shirt?
Modest is hottest.
It's like,
no, you have to put a spaghetti top over top of it.
I think they just want the spaghetti strap top, and they're like, well, I can only do it with a mock turtle under it. So
here
we go.
Although I'm very pro mock turtleneck, anything like that.
Me
Give
too.
them to me.
Just the layers are just...
It does feel like very constricting. Even when they're wearing it, I'm like, how are you breathing?
They don't look comfy. They don't look comfortable.
They're not.
So I know everybody knows this, but can we just can you just fill me in, debrief me one more time on the order of divorce events and where we are right now?
Absolutely. So this is a spoiler alert. If you haven't caught up with the season, first of all, what are you doing? I guess you don't have a TV like Rebekah, but if you do, this is your assignment. So here it is. The end of last season, we find out that that Christine has left Kody.
Okay.
She calls it a divorce. They were never legally married, but she's like, we're divorced.
Okay.
Then we find out in the tell-all this year that Janelle and Kody are separated.
Okay.
And the reason I think it's more than that, as I was saying to you, is Janelle and Kody's oldest son, Logan, got married a few months ago. I like Logan too. He's like a little dad. Like,
yeah, he's so responsible. He's like a man. Yeah.
So Logan got married and Kody was sitting kind of in the second row on the left side.
Right.
Janelle is sitting on the right side, front row. So Kody and Robyn are sitting together.
Oof.
And then all the other wives are sitting on the other side.
Awkward. Oh my gosh.
I'm thinking even for a separation, it's got to be pretty bad if you're saying at the wedding, like there's no chance, like you can't even pretend for the wedding. Like
as the parents of the groom, right? You'd think they'd be the ones sitting next to each other.
Exactly.
Yeah. Whoa.
So, and then in this tell-all, Meri's also saying, she's not still saying that she's really left him. He's saying throughout the year, if she wants to marry somebody else, great. That's fine. He doesn't care if she wants to marry somebody else or move on. By the way, to him, marriage is the best thing you can ever do. So like, there's no career, there's nothing, it's marriage. It sounds like she's left, but she will say like, if he wanted to get back with me, I'll get back with him. Like the only one that he doesn't want to be with desperately wants to be with him. So they're saying that they're not together, but they haven't really been together. So I just don't know if like she's going to move out on the property. Well, nobody's going to move out on the property, but the whole idea was to move out onto Coyote Pass, this like piece of land that's going to change their lives.
Okay.
4 years ago, and it still hasn't happened.
Shocker. And as far as we know, Robyn and him are going strong.
Oh, strong. Yes, they are. They're doing something.
Okay.
I will say all the women look better as the years go on.
Agreed.
Robyn
We've been on all their Instagrams. Agreed.
But I feel like that could be like the closer you are to Kody, the worse things are going. Like, I just think he breaks you down, whether it's out in the open or just you have to take so much crap from him. And I think that I'm not trying to bash anyone's looks. It just looks like she's unhappy. She looks really unhappy. Yeah.
No, she looks significantly different now comparatively. And is the sisterwivescloset.com defunct?
Coming soon. I think apparently there could be more designs, but wasn't that a wild storyline? Like, why would you guys think not only that Robyn should be designing things based on what,
I know,
and that people want to wear something that says SW for Sister Wives? Like that doesn't make any sense.
It was a real, head scratcher, and their pitching was so tough. I mean, even for all of them. And, even Christine, when she was like, I found out I liked marketing. I'm like, like this whole endeavor was just embarrassing. And the fact that they had all those hits on the website, but didn't convert to sales. Right. I'm like, that's just because everyone's doing what I'm doing, which is watching the show and then Googling the link and being like, I wouldn't buy any of this except for the 500 people that did. Like, it was ugly.
So like fugly. But Robyn kept saying it's because we don't have enough options. I don't think that was ever the problem. I think there were too many options. You should have had one option, and maybe that should have just been a plain necklace. Like Truly nothing on it. Even a clasp.
Or
They should have
Truly,
just sold
just
clasps.
called it Truly.
Oh,
Their whole line.
I know. No, don't do that to her. Don't besmirch Truly. She's been through enough in her life.
Truly TM though, that's quite a...
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, so here's a question. If they had done the right thing and come up with a great business to like capitalize on the Sister Wives popularity and their brand, like what do you think they should have done? What would have been like a smart move for them entrepreneurially?
I don't know if it would have been a smart move necessarily, but I like the idea of a gym because Janelle was very passionate about it.
Right.
She's very into fitness. Like she wanted that. And it was a good thing for them, I thought. Like they all wanted to be more active. Like, I don't know. I'd go to a gym with them owning it. Like it's not all size 0.
Right. No, that's a good point.
And it would just be like a lifestyle kind of thing.
But that's a good point that could be really inspiring to women.
I thought so.
Yeah.
I mean, currently they're doing
moms.
Plexus.
I know.
And LuLaRoe.
That I can't believe no one's like tapping them on the shoulder. Like, hey, there's a documentary I want you to see real quick.
Well, it's Meri. Nobody's going to tap her on the shoulder and say anything. She's in that house by herself. What business do you think they could do? You're good at this stuff.
Did they ever publish anything? Did they ever write any books? Because I could actually see them getting into like the religious Christian inspiration market with like a devotional or like content in that space.
Made more sense.
Yeah, I no, they did doing that.
They wrote a book, and I can't remember what it is. Becoming Sister Wives.
Oh,
and
okay, like a memoir, a joint
the one
memoir?
about the nachos. Yeah, it's a story about Christine eating nachos. Kody saying how he was unattracted to her, but he still married her because what a nice thing for him to do. Like,
oh my gosh,
the pity he gave that poor, horrific woman.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you want to get real shady about it, they could have done like a real nasty, like tell all about Kody, but that wouldn't have happened when they were in their heyday. But now, like, I don't know. But some subscription thing to like find out the real dirt.
Gwendolyn, she's one of Christine's daughters. She does like a YouTube reaction video now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so she's had 3 episodes. She has quite a few subscribers, but but she's still like, I think the kids are so good because, and I think it has to do with their moms because they will be like, oh, I don't remember it that way. Or like, oh, dad probably shouldn't have said that. Generous. But they're not like, yeah, they're very generous. They could rip him to shreds and they don't. It's still their dad.
Yeah. What an interesting dynamic and what an interesting way to grow up.
Oh, for sure. For sure. So I'm still like, polygamy's not for me. But if you would have asked me in the middle of the night with my son,
oh my gosh,
nursing him to sleep, and like a sick kid, I would have been like, you can take my husband. I don't even care what you do with him. Bring me all the wives.
Yeah. And in 3 nights, I'll get my stuff together and try to be like wifely towards him. But in the meantime, like, do you have any leftovers that I can like feed my kids with? Yeah,
exactly.
Absolute same. When I was working full time and had three kids, like at 3 different schools in Manhattan, if I'd had 3 wives, like that would have been the dream.
I know. Oh my gosh. No. Mm-mm.
Yeah. I don't even know how we got through it, frankly.
Me either. You would have probably just left. I mean, I would have. Like if I was like 2 other people can watch these kids, I'm out of here. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, I'd be the wife that was always at Starbucks with headphones and a laptop.
You'd be the Janelle. Like I'll come back at bedtime. Yeah. I'll check in on everybody.
I love reading aloud.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, honestly, I can't thank you enough for really like talking about it so incessantly that you broke me down and got me to watch it. And also it's like a connection point with our listeners because so many of them watch, but there's so many new people coming on board with me that have messaged saying like, I'm watching too. And this was my holiday and New Year's plan. So it's really just a fun experience. And now we have another shared connection and I don't feel left out.
It was FOMO. That was the whole thing.
I'm not above it. Yeah. Well, you inspired it. But I'm so happy it's a conversation we can have. And I'm so excited to listen to this next episode that we're going to play right now. And I'm going to listen to it again because my mind is a sieve and it was a year ago or so. I don't know how long ago.
Oh, Janelle calls Kody a sieve this last week. So
Did I use it wrong? Because that feels...
No. Because he tells all of his secrets. Like, if you tell him a secret, she's like, he's a sip. He just spreads it all.
In and out. Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. I was like, because Janelle's smart. I could see myself saying the wrong thing. No, the women are really strong. They really are. Like,
they are.
It's about them. That's one more thing I want to say is like, I hate that I'm using Chris Lee Knows Best again as a reference point, but that show has his name in it in the title, and it's about him. And this show is called Sister Wives. And yes, Kody is like the one they're all married to. He's the connection point, but it really is a show about those 4 women.
Yeah.
Their relationship with one another, with themselves, the evolution of each woman over the years and their parenting. Like, I really do like that.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I don't know, they come a long ways. So I enjoy it. It's been a journey, and I'm glad you're on it, and
Me
hope
too.
everyone else is. And if you've started it, let us know.
Please.
Yeah. I'm always looking for somebody else to talk to about, talk to it about. And Rebekah, I sent her, I like try not to get too far ahead of you, but I'm like sending you clips of crazy things that Kody says, like Ariella May is the lubricant of our family, stuff like that. Just like,
no, Kody.
She's the family lube, things like that. Just really upsetting. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And we'll definitely have Sister Wives merch in our next drop, like something referencing that. I think we already have the design in work. So coming soon in 2023. It's a long year. So, I mean, soon is relative. We're only January. But yeah, this was fun.
All right. See you guys next week. We'll have a brand new episode. Sorry, this didn't end up being that, but it was a perfect time. The 3rd part of the tell-all is out this weekend. So make sure you check it out and let us know your thoughts.
See everyone soon. Bye.
Bye.
Just a quick heads up, there is a brief mention of sexual assault in this week's episode, so please take care when listening.
Hello, and welcome to the 5th episode of Criminality, the podcast. The tagline escaped me. Loving reality isn't a crime. Right, Rebekah?
Well,
we love it.
Well, not usually. I mean, yes, loving reality is not a crime, but there is so much crime in it, Melissa, and we knew that when we started this. But OMG.
And we really had our hand on the pulse. We were really just ahead of our time, really. This week has been crazy.
I don't even, it's like, it's hard. I mean, we're coming out with this now. It's going to be several days later. So much has happened. But yeah, of course, the Jen Shah story broke. And I've seen no shortage of amazing headlines with plays on her name, like the shocking story and like getting
Shawshank Redemption.
Yes, Shaw arrested. But yeah, I mean, that's all been playing out, and it just happened so fast and kind of out of nowhere. Though I think we all were suspicious when she couldn't describe her business accurately at the reunion.
Right.
I think we all were like, that's odd. But who knew just how odd it is?
The most odd. Yeah, that you played or you put that clip on our Instagram of Heather Gay saying, I don't know what she does, but I love it. In like the Arsenio Hall, whoever, like raising the roof. And I was like, I mean, this is not aging well.
And it's so recent, which is just even sadder. I mean, that would have been like kind of a sad thing on its own. But then in light of that, just, cringe. But what's so interesting now is she's denying the allegations and saying they're not true.
Free Jen Shah.
It's a movement.
Hashtag Free Jen Shah.
Yeah.
That I think only she and the Shah Squad are
I don't know.
a part of. Allegedly.
She's got 3 lawyers. I don't know why they're letting her be near a phone. I don't understand.
No, but can you imagine taking a phone from her? We saw that cell phone footage from a few months ago.
Right? The meeting between the lawyer. You take it. No, you take it. I don't want to take it. I had to talk to her last time.
Exactly. So you can be sure whenever more details come out, that is right on in Rebekah's wheelhouse, and she is going to cover it so well, and we're going to get so many details. I can't wait.
I'm already figuring out if being a podcaster is, if that qualifies to being press at the trial, because
100%
it's in federal court in Manhattan, and I've been there before because I've stalked Keith Raniere's trials there in Brooklyn.
Sure.
So I'm going to do what I can and get as close to the story as possible. I'm definitely not going to report it until there's, a lot more to report, but shocked she's pleading not guilty. I think it's crazy, and I just can't wait to see it play out. And we're just in for such a treat because Salt Lake City is filming.
Oh, so good. So good. Because this always happens where they're like, 3 months earlier, and you just hear about what's happened.
I know.
We never get the cameras there. This is amazing TV.
And isn't this also happening for Beverly Hills? Won't we be watching that drama unfold?
We should be, but how much do you think Erica's going to let us in? I don't think she's going to give us a whole lot.
Well, I would normally say no. I don't think she would, but I've read that she was very open. I think even Andy was quoted as saying, like, she's incredibly open about what's going on with her and Tom, but it's all relative. Like, maybe in terms of Erica being open, it's very open, but it's never going to be as much as we want. We know that.
But I can't do another season of Lucy Apple Juice. I can't take a one storyline and run it through the road. Not when this one's so good and has so much potential.
Exactly.
They have to give it to us.
They really do.
They have to.
They really do. So yeah, it was quite a week. And what's also funny is the day before that story broke, or possibly even the morning of, there was that story about Heather.
Yeah.
Why am I forgetting her last name?
Carol Radswell, Heather Thompson, right?
Yes, Heather Thompson in New York quitting, mid-film, which I didn't even know she was a cast member. Was she just a friend of, and she was filming? I don't really understand.
I thought she was a friend of.
Yeah.
I didn't think they had said that she was a cast member. Okay. But I feel like there was enough time that went by that you want these people to come back. Like 2 years ago, I would have been like, but now I'm like, absolutely, you come back.
Yeah.
Jill Zarin, no, I never want her back. And I know I'm on my own island for that, but no, I'm not into it.
I'm with you on that. But I could take or leave Heather. It didn't matter. But I was just like, oh, interesting. She quit mid shoot, and then the Jen Shah story broke, and it was like, Heather who?
It's over.
We have moved on.
It was a good day, really good day to be in the Bravo universe, because it was just nonstop all day. I really had to dedicate my life to the journey of the Jen Shah.
It's, really remarkable, the things I pushed aside to kind of stay on top of it. And I couldn't even stay on top of it. What's amazing about this Bravo universe you're talking about is the fast and the furious. I mean, the memes, the jokes, it was like Christmas morning. Like, it just kept getting better. It was incredible.
It was Luann being arrested all over again.
It really, really was, like December 2017.
Yeah. A simpler time. Yes. So this week, though, I am going to bring you a news story. And I was telling Rebekah, I struggle with this, not because it's not interesting, not because of anything, but it's so much information. So I'm condensing it, and I'm even going to have pictures for Rebekah, because I think we're going to need them, and we'll be able to post these to social media to help you along. So the story I'm talking about this week, my clues from last time were failed jewelry empire, full quiver, and what was the
Basement
other one?
Wife.
And Basement Wife, yes. So this week we're talking about the crimes, or not really crimes, they committed crimes, but they weren't arrested, of the Sister Wives franchise.
So it dawned on me after we recorded, of course, Basement Wife should have been a dead giveaway, even though, the basement part just made it so dark. I was like,
oh, yeah. I didn't think of that.
The wife alone, it should have been a clue, because you're all about the Sister Wives. Like, it's come up more than once. So yeah, but I honestly am embarrassed to say I didn't know what a quiver was until I Googled it. And that also,
it's a big Duggars word. The Duggars like to say quiver.
Okay, that
full,
makes sense.
All that, yeah,
that makes sense. Mm-hmm. I understand it now.
Yeah. So back in 2006, the show Big Love was on HBO. Did you ever watch Big Love?
I think I've seen pieces. I didn't follow.
It was 5 seasons, and it was about Bill Hendrickson and his 3 wives. towards the end, it gets really off and weird, and he like runs for Congress or something, and it was kind of bizarre. So I followed it kind of, but it was interesting. But that was like my first taste into the world of polygamy. And so interest is really up. And in 2010, there's these two independent producers who go to Figure 8 Films in North Carolina, and they have an idea to do a show about the Brown family. The president of TLC at the time, Bill Hayes, agrees after he meets the Browns and realizes they're really interesting, they're fascinating, and they're not what you would think of typically as a polygamous family. So they shot this footage in mid-2010 for the first season, and it ends in a wedding. They ended up filming even more in case it was picked up, and it was for 15 seasons, Rebekah.
That's a long-running show.
This show is truly about nothing. I cannot emphasize that more. I wait every week to watch this show, and I get truly nothing happens. Just at best, they're moving from house to house. At worst, they're talking about this property they all want to live on that they're never going to.
So what keeps you coming back? I have to ask.
Right now, in season 15, Kody hates at least one wife, and at least one wife hates him. That's fascinating television, that you have these people who are together because they don't have to, but they think that's the plan, but they really don't like each other. And it's kind of watching them season to season like come into their own, and then also kind of not take his crap, and then his little ego is being deflated. I don't know what it is. It probably says something more about me than it does them, that I'm so interested in it, but it's just a dynamic that you don't see anywhere else.
Well, I'm actually not sure that's true. That seems to me like a theme we see on The Housewives, where the wife gets more confident from doing the show. She starts making her own money. She starts pushing back on the status quo a little bit. So maybe it's a version of that, but in this dynamic of a polygamous marriage, in which case that makes sense to me. It's relationship drama and tension.
Totally relationship. Yeah, because really nothing ever happens. Truly nothing happens. So if you aren't familiar with Sister Wives, here's a little synopsis, and we'll get into more details as we go along. So you have Kody Brown, and he's the patriarch of the family. In 1990, he marries his first wife, Meri. In 1993, 3 years later, he marries Janelle. 1 year later, while Janelle is pregnant with her first son, Christine joins the family. So Robyn is the final wife, and she and Kody marry in 2010, which is 17 years after he married his last wife.
Wow.
And this is part of, the season 1 finale is this wedding. And like I said, 17 years after Christine had joined the family. So besides Meri, who was the first wife, all the marriages between Kody and his wives are technically spiritual unions, at least for a while. At the center of the show is polygamy and the dynamics of the family. When the show debuted on TLC on September 26, 2010, the very next day, where they lived in Lehi, Utah, they actually announced an investigation into Kody Brown and his family for possible charges of bigamy, which was a third-degree felony, which carries a possible penalty of 20 years in prison for Kody and up to 5 years in prison for each wife.
I forget what bigamy is.
Bigamy is typically when 2 or more spouses aren't aware of one another.
Oh.
But this, they're claiming, is bigamy through cohabitation. So since they're all living together, the state of Utah considered it bigamy, which is weird, right? Because I thought it was the other way, but that's what they said. He's only married to Meri, but he's living with these 3 other women, and they considered that to be bigamy at the time. So this is back in 2010.
Okay, got it.
So in response to the investigation, the Browns released a statement, quote, "We are disappointed in the announcement of an investigation, but when we decided to do this show, we knew there would be risk. For the sake of our family, and most importantly, our kids, we felt it was a risk worth taking," end quote. So before we get into the specifics of the family, we'll talk a little about what polygamy is and how this family came to be involved in it.
Oh, good.
Because I really, truly only knew the Big Love version of this. So polygamy is basically one person being married to 2 or more spouses. Polygyny is one man that has multiple wives.
Oh.
Polyandry is one wife and multiple husbands. You don't hear about polyandry a lot, and that's because who wants to be married to multiple men? That sounds like a nightmare.
Depends who you ask, but I'm with you.
Yeah.
Wow, this is like getting real really fast. Okay.
Yes.
It's educational.
I told you I've been everywhere in this. And so we talked a little about bigamy, and that's something we hear in true crime. Every once in a while, you'll find one of these stories where this guy has gone off and he's married another woman, has more kids, and has to kill somebody to hide this, right? So while some people look at polygamy as a way to take care of a larger family, kind of like a commune situation, others do it for religious reasons. And the Browns are one of the families that do it for religious reasons. So the Browns are technically part of a sect of Fundamental Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, FLDS. And so Joseph Smith was the guy who founded Mormonism back in 1830, and he was deeply affected by the death of his brother a few years later. After he founded Mormonism, he has this vision of his brother. And in this vision, he sees something called sealings, Sealings. These are for faithful Mormon parishioners who are approved by the church. In these sealings that he saw in his vision, it gives a more powerful role to men to help save these people that they love to get into heaven. So by and large, at this time, more men are converting to Mormonism than any other religion. So in the early 1830s, Joseph Smith included polygamy into the practices of the church. Similarly to in the Old Testament, Abraham had multiple wives. So according to Smith, a good and righteous man can help lots of women get into heaven by being sealed into a plural marriage. So if you have a large family, it multiplies a man's glory in the afterlife. And so this doctrine was established in 1843, which I didn't realize that Joseph Smith was the one that actually brought this into it.
No idea.
Yeah. So the government gets involved, and the U.S. Supreme Court rules in Reynolds versus the United States in 1878 that polygamy was odious, which I had to Google, unpleasant. And they said that second marriages were always void. And they were like, that's just how it's going to be. We're not doing this. You can't do this. Well, the Mormon Church did not back down. They wanted to keep polygamy as part of their practices. And in 1887, something called the Edmunds-Tucker Act was passed in Congress. And this authorized the seizure of LDS church assets and makes polygamy a federal offense. So they basically said, we gave you a warning.
Yeah.
If you're going to keep doing this, now we're taking your stuff, and this is, a federal offense. So in the 1880s, men that were polygamous started being attacked, and so the church feels this pressure to distance themselves from polygamy. So the president of the Mormon Church at the time, Wilford Woodruff, announced in 1890 the church would no longer sanction plural marriages in adherence to the law of the U.S. But there were Mormons that still wanted to do this, so they actually would go off to Mexico and ended up marrying in Mexico, and a lot of polygamous sects were born, S-E-C-T-S, were in Mexico. So by the 1930s, though, there's 7 Mormon polygamous leaders who get together to form this loose confederation to keep polygamy going. So this is not even 100 years ago. And they did that for a while, and then it sort of became an underground thing. It's estimated that there's around 38,000 fundamentalists practicing polygamy in the United States right now. Out of the 7 Mormon polygamous leaders, we get this offshoot of Mormonism, which is the fundamentalist church. And so this is something you'll hear that's different. And they make it very, very clear that it's not the same thing as traditional Mormonism. So now we've arrived at why religious polygamists choose this lifestyle. Even with the threat of imprisonment, they feel like this is going to be a thing that helps them. It seals their family together, and all of them have heaven to look forward to. But what draws the Brown family into it? So Kody Brown was born on January 17th, 1969, and he was born into the LDS faith. His parents were monogamous actually throughout his whole childhood. When he was 14, though, his parents sit down and have this conversation with him about celestial plural marriage, kind of saying, here's what this is, just want you to know. And he said, in hearing this about plural marriage, I knew I was going to do it. Like, they weren't doing it, but he just said, okay, this is my thing at 14. I had a lot of bad decisions at 14, but I guess this was no.
I think like any talk from your parents at age 14, particularly around relationship and sex things, I don't know, just not a great time to make a lifelong decision.
Right. It's a big one to be like, at 14, I decided I was going to get a tattoo of like a rat or something crazy. And luckily, 18-year-old me was like, that's a stupid idea. But 14-year-old me would have made some terrible decisions.
Same.
So when Kody's 19, he moves to Texas. And during this time, he finds out his parents have been excommunicated from the church because his dad has taken a second wife. Okay. So they've gone from just being like, hey, this is what it is, to also, here's your new mom. And so he said he was really open to it. He thought it was great. He loved her like a mom, which is kind of amazing to hear because he never lived with them together, you know? So it's like getting a step parent after you've, you know, grown up. It just seems like you're not going to have that connection.
No, that's odd. I don't know. Maybe he just really was so inclined to be accepting of it that he could extend some affinity for her. I don't know.
Maybe. So this is whenever he's back and he meets this lady named Meri. He meets her at church. And poor Meri. I read the book Becoming Sister Wives, for research for this. And basically everything they say about her is never that flattering in terms of her personality, which makes me so sad. He basically said, didn't notice her. She was there, didn't notice her. But she ends up attending some summer camp with his sister. And then his sister talks a lot about her. And then he meets her and says, oh, you're the Meri my sister really liked. And that's kind of how they start to know one another.
How lovely.
So yeah, trust me, these marriages, you will not even believe how they start because you would be like, I would never let my child. It's good. So Meri grows up in California and she moves to Utah when she's 5 years old. Her mom really wanted to get her dad into polygamy for some reason. I don't know if she was like, too many kids. I just need help.
I do see the upside more for women in that sense.
100%.
How many times?
No, there's a lot.
Yeah. Have you felt like if there was just one more of me or two or three, we could get all this done?
Yeah. I wouldn't be the cooking wife. I wouldn't be the laundry wife. Rebekah, I'm running out of things.
Yeah,
what would I be?
I was just like, wait a minute. That's right. I'd need a role and I'd have to get really good at it and be like intentional about it. So this wouldn't work for me because I'd be like the good for nothing wife.
Yeah. That's the one I'd want. I would say I would love to be your good for nothing wife. Put that on the vision board, please. Good for nothing wife. I actually think I might be that already.
Yeah,
I just don't have anybody to pick up my slack.
So true. Oh my gosh.
Oh gosh. So eventually her dad decides to get into polygamy at the encouragement of her mom. He takes 5 wives in total, and Meri ends up having 27 siblings. And so she's raised in the LDS faith, but now into this fundamentalist version of it. So Kody meets Meri and ends up joining the fundamentalist version of this because at this point his parents have, but he hasn't. So he joins. They fall in love. That's what they said. And married each other on April 21st, 1990. And they knew going into it, Meri knew going into it, Kody knew going into it, they were going to have more wives. That was just always the plan. And so the couple end up having 1 kid together, and we'll get into that later. And now we meet Janelle. Janelle is probably my favorite wife. And if we're talking Enneagram, she's a 6.
Oh.
And I don't just say that because I'm a 6. She's just logical. She's so logical. She's such a planner. And she's like, I don't know. She doesn't require much in their relationship. I'm not saying that's me, but it's an interesting part with her. So she grows up in the LDS faith. Her dad dies when she's 2. And she has a stepfather that she said was really distant. And so she just knew, I don't want that for my life. I don't want that to be my spouse. So she just knew she wanted a really good husband, really good father. And she meets this guy named Adam. And her grandmother says, hey, you know, Adam, he's from a family of polygamists. And she was like, okay. She didn't know any other polygamists, but she finds out Adam's a polygamist. And so the two get married. And she thought they were going to become polygamist, but 6 months later, he moved out and they divorce. Oh. And the thing was, during all of this, she really loved his family. She did a lot with his family, even in this short amount of time. And she was friends with his sister who was Meri, who was married to Kody.
Wait. I'm so bad at family relationships. So Meri, who is Kody's first wife,
right,
is the sister of the guy Janelle was married to.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, so they're actually not related. They're not related.
They're not blood, but they
they're
were
familial
sister-in-laws.
marriage, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was kind of hidden from people in the first season. You didn't really know that until, Rebekah, you see photos from Meri and Kody's wedding, and Janelle is just standing right next to Kody in the wedding from
so
3 years before.
Weird.
It gets weirder. Just...
Of course it
I
does.
need you to buckle in. It gets weirder. So she's in the middle of this divorce. She sees Kody, you know, they have somewhat of a relationship, just as friends, family. And she kind of notices there's something different about him, but she's going through this divorce and she just kind of packs it away. 3 months after Kody and Meri were married, Kody actually gets a job where Janelle works. So they meet, they talk, and she just keeps feeling really drawn to him. And she knows to become a part of a plural marriage. She knows he believes in it. And she knows Meri believes in it. But it kind of the wife tends to bring in a new wife more so than the husband. So it's not like the husband's, I was going to say chasing booty, but I haven't come up with a better phrase. So they're not chasing booty. A wife normally finds a woman, woman folk, to be one of the wives.
Okay. Extend the sisterhood.
Extend the sisterhood over chasing booty. So that's what they did. So Janelle's mom hears her saying, you know, I really kind of like this family. I want to be a part of it. I think I'm supposed to be a part of it. And Janelle's mom, who's no longer married to her stepdad, says, this is crazy. I don't want you to do this. If you're going to go up there, I'm going with you. And she said, okay, so to go visit Kody's family. So she goes up there. Here's the thing. Janelle's mom meets Kody's dad, and they fall in love and they get married.
Oh my God. There are people in the world who like actively resist getting married. These people are just like, it's weird. There's so much marriage happening.
So much marriage. And these people, like, I just love the idea of these men being like, the best of the best. Like, there's no one else. We have to marry him. He needs 4 wives. No, you'd be fine.
Yeah.
But Kody's dad, so she goes from being, I don't think polygamy is good, to I'm now your mom and your mother-in-law, and your husband that you're courting is now your stepbrother.
Oh my gosh. This requires a Venn diagram.
I do have some photos I can show you. So I'll post these on social media, but I'm showing Rebekah right now a little bit of the family tree. So here we have Meri and Kody.
Okay.
They are going to have one daughter named Mariah.
Yes.
Now we're up to Janelle. Janelle and Kody. Janelle is, I think of her as the worker bee. She wants to work. She's just very, very smart, very hardworking, very organized. She is like no nonsense. These are her kids. Logan is her oldest. Maddie, Hunter, Garrison, Gabriel, Savannah. In my personal opinion, she has some of the best kids in the whole bunch.
Oh,
they're just good kids.
okay.
She's a good mom. So Janelle basically said this relationship with her and Kody wasn't this huge love story. It was, hey, I like you. I want to be a part of your family. I think we get along intellectually. Let's do this. So she says they're not in love when they get married. It's very just like, this works. They go on one date and they get married. But they end up getting married on Meri's birthday, which was such a terrible idea. Isn't it? And I love Janelle. And I was like, that was not a good idea.
No, I would think as a sister wife, you'd respect birthdays independent of anniversaries. Like that's something you can control.
Let me tell you, the episodes on these that actually have to do with anything is always somebody fighting over a birthday, over Christmas, over hanging ornaments. It's a whole thing. So it's such a weird thing. So she and Kody together have 6 kids. Like I said, 6 of my favorite kids. In the book, it talks a lot about Janelle and Meri's relationship, and it was tense. So the 2 of them and Kody first lived in a trailer for a while and barely spoke. Kody traveled all the time. He did stuff in sales. And so the 2 women are just left to do nothing before they have kids. They're just like, can you imagine?
No, I can't.
How tense it has to be like, okay, you're with my husband, I'm with your husband, and we're all trying to get pregnant at the same time. So that's the other thing.
Oh God, sorry.
It's a lot. Don't put that on the whiteboard, or don't put that on the vision board.
It's like pregnancy pact meets sister wives. This is getting weird.
Gosh. I know. So next we have Christine. Christine is lovely. I think she is so much fun. She's so bubbly. She has such a great personality. And she's one of those people who was kind of made for TV, I think. So Christine grows up in the fundamentalist church. She has 2 moms, 10 brothers and sisters. She is bubbly and vivacious and just the life of the party, just loud. And I love her so much. She's so fun. Her grandfather was the pastor of the church that they would all eventually meet at and attend. According to the book, I don't know why I put this note in here, but this is one of those Meri comments I was saying. No one noticed Meri at the church until she married Kody. I know. You won't feel bad for Meri for long. Well, I still kind of do, but you'll see.
Oh, is she like the alpha wife because she was first?
She's the alpha wife, but alpha wife takes a turn. There's
okay. I'll wait.
Oh, young grasshopper. There's so much left to explain. So Christine really was interested in Kody long before he was interested in her. So they all kind of go to the same church. She just wanted to be a part of this family. And she even talks to Meri. Meri's saying, hey, we're trying to find another wife. They have this wife they kind of like, or this woman they kind of like. It doesn't end up working out, but Christine's on the phone saying, hey, she's basically happy that this new wife doesn't work out for her.
Right.
Even though Christine could do so much better. So anyway, Christine's thrilled. They don't end up working out. And eventually, Kody decides to pursue Christine. He thinks, okay, she's going to be a good person for our family. But he says, originally, he was not physically attracted to her.
Thanks.
He puts this in writing, and he says it on their freaking show that's nationally televised. Ugh. Here is, Rebekah, one of the worst stories I've ever heard in my entire life.
No.
I know. This, if you've ever been rejected.
Never.
I have.
Not once.
Not you. This would be the worst rejection story in the world. Oh, no. So they go on this trip, Kody, Meri, and Christine, when they're kind of dating, trying to figure things out.
Where's Janelle?
Janelle's working.
Oh,
Janelle
okay.
is always working. She's the most responsible one.
Gotcha.
She does not have time for vacations.
Okay.
He says that he looks at her. They stop at some Quickie Mart, and she brings out a bowl of nachos. She gets a plate of nachos covered in, chili, covered in cheese, and she scarfs them down.
Okay.
And he said this sight was so unattractive that he started second guessing their relationship. He said, I couldn't watch her eat them. She must have been starving because she was eating so quickly. And there was chili sauce and nacho cheese everywhere. He's a monster. Okay. And he basically was like, I had to stop seeing her after that.
First of all, there's no other way to eat nachos than quickly and voraciously. So shut it, Kody.
Yeah.
Second of all, it appalls me that he's saying that about her. However, I've probably said similar about my husband.
That's fair. I would do the same thing.
But that's different.
I know.
Somehow.
I want to. Well, you didn't put it in writing in a freaking book that apparently somehow made it to the New York Times bestseller book.
Just a podcast.
Yeah. Here's my just a podcast. So I have a nacho story I think you'll enjoy. I too am a nacho enthusiast, and I once was keeping the till for a basketball game at my school. So I was keeping all the money, and I had gotten nachos, and I was sitting at the desk and, just waiting for people to come in, and I would take their money. Well, I'm eating my nachos. I'm very into this. And next thing I know, I turn around and the cash box is gone. I have no idea where it went.
You were so devoted to the nachos.
I was so into my nachos. I had no clue what happened. And then I finally turned around more, and a group of adults, I was a teenager, had taken the till, and they said, you were just so into your nachos, we didn't think you'd notice.
I was right.
They were totally right.
They require a lot of attention. They do, nachos.
All your fingers, you got to wipe, you got to lick.
Yeah.
All of that. There's a lot going on in them. So they were really good that day too. I mean, what can I say? Cheese in a can?
Bring
yes,
it.
Please.
So wait, were the adults testing you? Let's see if she notices, and then they told you? That's kind of messed up.
It's totally messed up. It's so messed up. But I also was the person who on trips and stuff, volleyball trips, they would bet me how much I could eat. So I would try to race the guys because we had girls and guys teams. And I would eat triple cheeseburgers, 3 triple cheeseburgers. I could just out eat anybody.
I'm so impressed.
But it takes dedication and it takes concentration.
Yes, it does.
And if you steal from me, I won't notice.
That's the takeaway. It also takes confidence, Melissa. Good job.
There you go. I had an unnatural amount of confidence that day. So this is just a side note. Whenever I was reminding a friend of mine, Carly, who's a friend of our show, about this nacho cheese thing, she called Kody Queso Kody and the agent of chaos. And I was like, that's totally him.
I like that a lot.
So somehow Kody powered through the devastation of seeing his wife eats nachos like a human being. I say that from experience. And they eventually get married in this tiny ceremony because it's a third marriage. You can't have this giant big party. It's basically more of a dinner party. And he, again, drills in the fact that he is not attracted to her. She becomes a stay-at-home wife, and she loves her role as homemaker. So they're all having kids at this point. Meri, unfortunately, was only able to have one daughter. She had issues with infertility. But Christine was a stay-at-home wife. The stay-at-home mom. She loved doing it. And she was also part of something called Principal Voices. And they were kind of the public face of polygamy, but on a very small scale. So, more in Utah and stuff, you would have heard of Principal Voices. And so while she's a part of this, and they basically do outreach to kind of say, hey, we're not bad. This is okay. Right. We're, fine, but still staying under the radar. So during this time, she's approached by tons of people about being involved in documentaries about polygamy or, TV shows. And she never tells Kody because she thinks like, no, we don't want to do that. Eventually, though, he says, hey, these people are interested. We've had people reach out to our family. And she said, oh, yeah, they contact me all the time. And he was like, okay, well, if they contact you again, let me know. And we need to think about it. So eventually a man by the name of Tim Gibbons reaches out to the Principal Voice and is connected to Christine. They then speak to the family and decide they want to move forward with doing this show, doing this reality show. And all the wives eventually come around to it, but Christine was really worried because she knew this risk. When her dad was 8 years old, his family was totally split apart after his father's arrest for polygamy. So when she grew up, they grew up in secrecy and fear. And so they knew not to, if you weren't your dad's first wife's kids, he couldn't claim you in public, which, can you imagine that? Like, just all of a sudden you're with your kids, but now you can't act like you're with your kids. Yeah. They're somebody else's kids. It's really sad. So later her mom leaves her father, divorces him, and leaves the faith. That's kind of an aside, but it doesn't always work out in these relationships is what I got from that.
I would think.
And Christine and Kody together also have 6 kids, just like Janelle. So during this time, they're in various living situations. As you can imagine, the world's not really made for people living with 3 separate, there's 3 separate couples, really. So in the beginning, Kody, Janelle, and Meri all lived together, which, as I said, was horrific. And eventually, when Christine comes in, she lives in a cottage nearby. Keep in mind, this is so expensive to have so many households going on.
That has been going through my mind, like, how do they afford this many children and everything?
Right?
But I'm sure we'll get there.
Yeah. I mean, a little. They don't really give too much information, but I do have some. So eventually, Janelle ends up leaving the family at one point because it's just too much. And yeah, she leaves for almost a year. Wow. And she was still with Kody, but basically said if they moved further, she wasn't going. Eventually, she wanted her kids to be around their siblings, so she ends up moving. And so the family moves to Utah into this house that's basically a polygamous dream home. It's 3 apartments in Lehi, Utah. So you've got your 2 upstairs and you've got your basement wife.
Aha.
Yeah. Ding, ding, ding. And Christine ends up being the basement wife, but you don't have separate entrances. So for some reason, this is such a huge sticking point on the show. They know their husband gets around their home, but they have a hard time seeing one wife walk in the front door with that husband. Like, they know they go on dates. They know they make babies. But the idea of seeing them walk into the front door is just too far.
That's too much.
It's way too far. It's disrespectful.
Okay.
I've never quite figured that out. They talk about this being a really good time in their life, depending on who you are. Christine thinks it was horrific. Janelle loved it. Meri, I've never gotten a good read on her. Kody enjoyed it because all of his kids were there. So he could go stay one night with one wife, but he's tucked all the other kids in bed.
To
I can
everybody.
see how that would be great. Yeah. So this goes on for several years, like not 17 years, but at least 7 or 8 years. They did this quite a bit. It was like a huge part of their family. So then let's bring on Robyn. Robyn is the fourth wife. She grows up in Utah in the fundamentalist faith. Her mom was actually her dad's second wife. So she was in a situation where she was with her dad one time and he had to act like he wasn't with their family.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so one of the things they did, and Kody, Meri, Janelle, all of them, they would say they were sisters. So it was like, oh, this is Kody's sister. Mary's the, like, it's kind of gross. I mean, technically, Janelle was a sister.
Oh, jeez. Oh my gosh.
So she never really minded it though. Cause she, like I said, very logical. She was like, well, he is my brother. It's brother from another mother. And so Robyn always wanted a plural family. She thought it was great. So she gets married to a man by the name of David Jessup in 1999. Jessup is a name I know a lot and comes up a lot in the history of the Mormon church. It's the last name you hear a lot.
Yes.
So she has 3 kids with him. They wanted to have a second wife. I'm not sure entirely why that never happened. They don't really say, but they divorced in 2007. She alludes to possible abuse and alcohol issues. So she says that she doesn't want anything to do with dating, with anything, and eventually is introduced to Kody after visiting his church with her cousin. She's not into it. She's not really super excited about it. Meri loves her. Meri is like who finds the wives. She is the number one finder. She's the Ask Jeeves. No, that wouldn't work there. She's like Bumble for
she's the
Bumble for wives.
Yeah, she's the
wife whisperer.
The wife whisperer. I love it.
Wife whisperer. So she ends up saying, hey, I come with this. She uses the word baggage. It's not baggage. It's her kids, but she's had a divorce. And so she says, I come with a lot. But they decide that she should be part of their family. So they end up having the longest engagement. The other engagements were like 3 months and less. Theirs end up being closer to a year because there were the holidays. They were going to get married in December, but then it was holidays. Then it was somebody's birthday, blah, blah, blah. Then the TV show is being recorded. So now the TV show says, hey, we'll pay for your wedding, but you've got to have it on. Yeah. They end up having it recorded for TLC. That's the finale of the first season. So she has 3 kids when she comes into the marriage with Kody, and then the 2 of them have 2 together. So when we meet the Browns, they're courting Robyn. That's how we meet them in this first episode. And I can't tell you how pumped I was to watch this first episode. It was everything because you just never saw it for real. It was just this idea in your head of polygamy. But Robyn, I keep wanting to call you Robyn. I'm so sorry because that's not at all a compliment. It's just because of the R. And I think you are so wonderful and you are nobody's Robyn. So it's just the R that's messing me up.
Put it on a t-shirt. I am nobody's Robyn.
Yeah, that actually is a great one. So Rebekah, you don't get 15 long seasons by just having a wedding. There's got to be drama, right?
Right.
So altogether, the couples have 18 kids. He has 1 with Meri, 6 with Janelle, 6 with Christine, 5 with Robyn.
Now,
Tons
5
of
with
babies
Robyn
up in
biological, like together or in addition
3
to her?
of hers and 2 together.
Okay.
Yeah. So as we said, after the show debuted, they found out they could be arrested, right? They find out, they're investigating them. So they decide as a family to move to Vegas, baby, because, where else would you move? Vegas. What are they going to do in Vegas? I'm a polygamist. Who cares?
Exactly.
Nobody cares,
Pales in comparison to what most people are seeing.
Exactly. So they end up renting homes, doing, again, all the moving I've seen. I could move you in like 14 minutes based on all the mistakes these people have made. They end up finding a bunch of homes in a cul-de-sac. Like they build 4 homes. So they're all in this cul-de-sac. It's perfect, right? So show goes on. We get all these like, will Kody take a 5th wife? And you just pray to God that's never going to happen. So far, it hasn't. The adults all work together on various ventures because you got to make a TV show. So they got to pretend the only check they're getting isn't from TLC.
Uh-huh.
They do things like go into real estate, which I think Janelle actually did because, again, she's the working hard no nonsense one.
Yeah.
LuLaRoe, Meri and Christine, huge LuLaRoe people. Meri, if you go to her group, you can watch her videos, and all she says immediately is read the pinned post. As soon as you get in there, somebody asks a question, she reads it, read the pinned post. And it's one of my favorite things to just yell at my kids sometimes. It's just fun.
But LuLaRoe had a huge downfall.
They have, but not enough. It hasn't come from Meri just yet.
Okay.
No. And then they also did my personal favorite, which is my sister wife's closet.
I've heard about this.
Yes, this is the failed jewelry empire section.
Tell me everything.
Yeah, well, there's not a lot to tell you.
Oh, darn.
You take 4 women, 1 man who have, I would consider, no personal style besides wearing T-shirts with like spaghetti strap shirts over them, and say, you make us designs, and not expect every design to just be a heart. Every freaking design was a heart.
So who was this partnership with? Where could you get this stuff? Did it ever come to fruition? Was it ever sold in stores?
In stores. Silly Rebekah. No, it was an online marketplace that did not do well. And the website, it's still there, and there's more stuff coming soon. And I'm signed up for email updates, but so far, no luck.
I wonder if Jen Shaw did their email marketing.
There you go. Sometimes you just want 4 hearts on a necklace for no good reason. I mean,
well,
let's
great
do that.
reason. 4 wives.
Exactly. But come on, do we really? Heart jewelry, I just cannot take it. I feel like if you love me and you give me heart jewelry, you're going to kill me because there's no reason. You know, that's just like an act of violence. I don't want it. So anyway, they should play to their strength though. Like maybe write a book, like what to expect when 3 moms are expecting at one time.
That's a bestseller. Absolutely.
It's a specific genre, but I think somebody would buy it.
There's a market.
There you go. If I bought this one, I'd buy that one. So as time goes on though, Robyn's kids, since they are from her first marriage, they do not have any insurance. They don't have any legal connection to Kody. So to be able to, this is how it's been sold to us. We don't know how much is true. To be able to get them on his insurance, he needed to be married to Robyn and adopt these kids.
Okay.
Well, the only way to marry Robyn is to divorce Meri. So,
because he can only be married to one at a time.
Yeah.
And he's only got a spiritual union with the other 2.
Yeah.
But they're his kids. So we're talking about,
right.
Yeah, got it.
Right. So they have to get divorced. And so I can imagine that would be very difficult. Like your place has always been the first wife. And now this new hot thing, this new hot thing comes in, and now you've lost your status as legal wife. Right. And now this new thing, I keep calling Robyn thing, but that just shows how much I love her. She is now going to take your place. Really, I mean, that's like now she's the newest one and she's the legal one. So they end up doing this, and it's really, really hard. On Seeking Sister Wives, which, by the way, if you're not watching that, it's on Monday nights. It's so good. Seeking Sister Wives, they're all looking for sister wives, but some are for religious reasons, and some are literally they just want a nanny. The Stodens just want a nanny.
That sounds more honest.
Right?
Is it connected to this show, or is it a spinoff, or entirely separate?
It's separate entirely.
Okay.
But fun fact, one of the couples that were on Seeking Sister Wives last season, her brother is married to Christine's daughter's husband. Okay. Something like that. It's all connected.
It's got to be a very small, niche community, right? I mean,
it is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. So you really could marry your cousin very easily. If you could marry your brother, you could marry your cousin.
Seriously.
So even on this Seeking Sister Wives, one of the couples had to get divorced so he could marry somebody from overseas so she could come here on a visa, which is all of it's so risky. So anyway, but shortly after this divorce, we get the biggest sister wife scandal. That is that we find out that Meri has been catfished. Uh-oh. And I wish I was kidding, but I'm not kidding, Rebekah.
No.
Poor Meri gets catfished. And she doesn't get catfished by just anyone. She gets catfished by a man named Sam. They were talking for 6 months over Twitter. Sam was a businessman in his early 40s, a millionaire apparently.
Of course.
Yeah, and according to Meri, it was a friendship. That's it. The messages will speak otherwise. But ultimately, Sam wasn't Sam at all. Sam was actually a woman named Jackie Overton, and Jackie Overton is a known scammer. She still has a Twitter account that I was on the other day with 100,000 followers talking about her life, but I don't think her life is true. I mean, I feel like once a scammer, always a scammer, right?
For sure.
Yeah. So anyway, in this friendship that Meri has made with Sam, Sam has an assistant named Lindsay Jackson. You aren't going to believe this, but Lindsay wasn't a real person either.
What?
I know. That's the real shock, not
Meri.
Janelle and Kody being brother and sister. But the photos of Lindsay are. So Jackie Overton is using these photos of her as Lindsay, the assistant. Apparently Lindsay's involved in their friendship. I don't get why. Meri even goes to Disneyland with Lindsay. I guess Sam couldn't show up, so there's photos of them together. Jackie eventually says that they had a sexual relationship. None of this has been confirmed by Meri. It's all very speculative. Not going to go any further into that. She wrote books once called like Almost Married, but spelled how Meri spells her name. You had to buy it on PayPal. It was a whole thing.
A for effort.
I did not buy that one. So there's tons of proof that Meri, thinking it was Sam, but maybe Lindsay, were in communication. But Meri claims all the voicemails, all the messages were actually a result of manipulation, and claims that she was being extorted by Sam and she wanted to protect her family. So she would say whatever they wanted to say to her. Meri said at the end of the day, she thought she had a friend, but she was lied to, and it's a friendship and that's it. But the messages say something different. Rebekah, I'm going to be sending you 2 photos.
Okay.
And we'll need real-time reactions. And which one do I want to send you first? Okay, I'm going to send you this one.
No.
Well, that one's fine. It's the next one that'll really get you.
Okay.
So what did I send you a photo of?
It's a peeled banana.
That's not all I sent you a photo of.
Oh, incoming. Hold on. Oh.
Yeah. So I don't think we should post these, but these, if you Google Meri Brown banana.
Not suitable for work.
Not suitable for work, indeed. But her whole thing is, hey, this was just a friendship, but then you've got something like this. And I have one more little thing to send you. It's not that, but it's a voicemail I'd like you to listen to.
Don't ever send a picture of yourself eating banana. I will block you.
Don't worry. I
Okay.
would block myself. So here's the voicemail.
I'm sorry that you felt like that was a comparison. All I was saying was I had that. I know what that feels like. That's not what I'm looking for with you. You understand that what I want with you is something deeper and stronger and more passionate. It's what we have. We have something more passionate than I've ever felt. You know that.
Wow. She wants something more passionate.
I mean, to be fair, Rebekah, I send you emails or messages all the time saying, can we have a more passionate friendship?
I'm like, I have nothing left to give, Melissa. I should have told you. I should have been more clear up front.
We're just good for nothing wives. That's what we
Perfect
have to
pair.
offer. Yeah.
Well, that's intense. And
It is.
brings up a lot.
It brings up a lot. And to be quite honest, I felt really bad for her because she's gone through this divorce with her husband and things, I don't know, you can see the dynamics changing in the family. And so Kody finds out about this, as does the whole world, and he's not happy. There's never any real resolution. And I really think a lot of that comes from the fact that Meri will never say, I thought I was in a relationship. I thought I was having, I was going to live with this person or whatever. She just says, I was extorted. This was a scam. So it's kind of like you can't really forgive someone if they can't accept it.
They can't face it. I know, but she was in such a unique and weird situation.
Right? Yeah.
For all intents and purposes, still sort of joined with him and his wife, but not legally and kind of set aside to make room for this new person. So there was this opening for something like this to happen.
Oh, for sure. And she only had the one kid. That kid was older. So she's by herself. She's an empty nester.
Yeah.
Her husband at best comes every 4 days to stay at her house.
That's
like that, they
sad.
have the rotation. I think so too. She can be kind of insufferable. She can make herself out to be a victim. But I feel like at the heart of it, like it was a very lonely person
Yeah.
who got involved in something and then totally got screwed in the situation. But from that point on, this is like 7 years ago, she told Kody, don't come to my house because she was like, I'm going through some things. And to that day, he doesn't go to stay at her house anymore. He rotates between the 3 wives. They're all still a family, but they're not really a couple anymore. It's weird, Rebekah. It's like, it breaks my heart for her too, because I'm like, you're by yourself.
Is she allowed to see other people? Like, are there conditions around that?
No,
What?
it's polygamy. He's the man that has the 4 wives, and she just has to deal with that. Well, she could leave, so it's not like a thing where he doesn't say she can leave. She can leave, but she is part of this family. Like, for some reason, she is very dedicated to it. I haven't figured it out. But the whole thing, like, that's kind of what they're going through in this season. It's COVID, and then we're dealing with that. But we've been dealing with their marriage for years. I'm so on board for it.
Okay.
Yeah. So during this time, the Browns end up leaving Las Vegas and moving to Arizona. Why Arizona? No one really knows. It doesn't seem like it was a very smart idea. They had all this cul-de-sac. All of them were together. And now they're really kind of spread out. It's kind of sad they're not around each other anymore. So the family, though, still can't move back to Utah, which at one point was like their goal to move back to Utah. So during this time away that they come out as polygamist, a lot goes on with the laws, which was really the whole point of our show, was to talk about the legal part of it. Yeah. And so that now they have a face of polygamy, though. And so they feel like they're the face of polygamy and they can do some good with it. On July 13th, 2011, the Browns file a complaint in United States District Court for the District of Utah challenging this polygamy law.
Okay.
And they release a statement that basically says there's tens of thousands of families in Utah and other states, and we want to have equal treatment for our family and others. And, this would be the first step, is to decriminalize polygamy. So a little over a year later, on June 1st, 2012, the criminal case against the Browns is dropped, although their civil case is still active. But that same year, a federal judge decriminalized bigamy among consenting adults for a brief time, but a federal appeals court overturns it. So it's still just kind of going through yes and no, yes and no, yes and no. In 2017, the Utah state legislature recriminalized polygamy. And what Utah did was really point to these things that have happened in polygamy. So sure, we see Kody, Meri, Janelle, all of them having a healthy, in quotes, marriage, and their kids are doing well and they're thriving and their kids are happy, but they're connected just by association to Warren Jeffs, right? That's the...
Sure. That's the dark downside of what could happen. Yeah.
And that's what people thought of first, right?
Sure.
So he had been the president of the FLDS Church, and back in 2011, he was convicted of 2 counts of sexual assault against a child. He was eventually sentenced to life in prison plus 20 years. So he had as many as 70 wives, many of them underage. So these weren't wives. These were girls that were,
awful.
Yeah, just terrible. So those who want polygamy laws in Utah want them for reasons like this. A lot of these people have escaped polygamy in these child bride situations. And so, of course, they don't care about the good side of it. They know what they've seen. They know what they've been through. So you can understand where they're fighting for this. But those that are against polygamy laws, like the Browns, say that when these families are forced to hide in secret, things can't be reported. Things like these crimes can't be reported. Because if something took place where they should call the police, they're not going to call the police because the police come to their house and they find out that their dad is married to 3 women and now the family is separated. So much can't be reported because they're living in fear. So if you take that off, even the stuff, the Warren Jeffs type stuff, shouldn't be happening because people won't be afraid to call the police and say, this is happening down the road from where I live.
Right.
Because now you're not going to be investigated. So it makes sense, I think. Ultimately, though, on March 28th, 2020, Senate Bill 102 was signed into law by Governor Gary Herbert. It says a married person can take additional spouses at the same time, but not be subjected to felonies so long as the spouses come in willingly. So not the Warren Jeff situation, but the Brown situation. They all came into it being married, knowing about the other spouses. But if you are threatened, frauded, or forced into it, or it involves abuse, it's a second-degree felony and carries a prison term of up to 15 years. If it doesn't have to do with any of that, it's an infraction and can draw a fine of up to $750 and community service, leaving the Browns with the opportunity to flee back to Utah if they so choose.
Okay.
So, as I said earlier, I've done the math, and I have now watched at least 176 hours of Sister Wives, Rebekah. It's probably closer to 200 because some seasons had 2-hour episodes, and I watched.
Do you know what this makes me worry?
What?
I don't know if I've ever said this to you before, but my husband says I know more about NXIVM than any woman not in NXIVM should. I think you might be closer to being a sister wife than any woman who's not a sister wife is.
Listen, if I had anything to bring to the table, I would be all about that life. I just don't think I'm good sister wife material. They're going to be like, next, who's next? Meri, find somebody else. This one's not bringing anything to the table. So, Rebekah, though, I did think of, in closing of my story, 5 things I could have done with my time instead of investing 176 hours in Sister Wives. The first thing is I could have interned for Sonia Morgan. Those were hours well spent.
Absolutely.
Right?
It's a life experience.
There you go. I could be Pickles too. Electric Boogaloo. I could have ghostwritten a book for Aviva Drescher. Mm-hmm. That was just waiting to be had.
Lucrative.
Yeah. I could have made it about Tom for Luann.
Always. We can do that anyway.
Yeah. I could have eaten gummy bears on Scary Island with Kelly Ben-Simone.
Oh.
Yeah. And lastly, I could have made robocalls for Jen Shaw.
Oh, that's true. I like that full circle, closing the gap.
I did it.
Wow. So
that's all you have to say.
No, I have so much to say. And I'm really glad you got to the part where you're talking and explaining the federal law and their thinking on it, because by the end of your story, I'm just kind of like, look, it isn't for me. All joking aside, it sounds complicated, and 2 people in a relationship is complicated enough. But, you know, I'm thinking, what's the big deal? If they're not hurting anyone and their children are okay, they're consenting adults. Sounds like this should not be a federal law.
Right.
But then the reminder of the Warren Jeff story changes that. But don't we just need to redefine forced marriages of young children? Like, that isn't polygamy. That is just sexual abuse. And
right.
So I like that they've landed on this if they come in willingly, but maybe add like an age, like 18 plus.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
To avoid this getting muddied up with polygamy, because that's separate.
Right. To be honest, it could have said 18 and up. I didn't look very deeply into it. I just saw that it was, I would imagine it was, because that's what they were trying to avoid.
To prevent, that makes total sense.
Really see both sides where you're saying, this is what I left this. And then the Browns saying people won't report it if they fear that their family's going to be separated. Why would you ever,
of
you
course.
wouldn't say anything. So it really, I don't know, it opened my eyes to the reasons why and why not. And I think the way they're doing it now makes a lot of sense to say, as long as you came into it willingly, it's your life. It makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, and it's a subculture I'm really not familiar with. I'm from the Northeast. Like it's never been around me. And I have not been a Sister Wives watcher, though I have watched some since meeting you, because you talk about it so much. I've been so curious, and it is fascinating. There is a hard to look awayness about it.
It's an interesting, I don't know, their stories are so interesting, and how they come into it is very interesting to me. And just the one that blows my mind is Janelle, just her and her mom going into it and her mom being so against it and coming into it and being like, no, I'm going to marry this man. What?
Yeah. What happened in that moment? What was so powerful that she got swept up in the idea? That's interesting to me. And, you know, polygamy and the man being in control. It seems like Kody is the patriarch and things do revolve around him. And yet there's also some maybe sense of female empowerment for women in the situation, right? There has to be.
It's come a long way, and they very much, he's like, well, they just make my schedule, and he acts kind of like angry about it, but it's like, no, you know what? These are there. You signed up for this. There's 4 women. Girls rule the world. Who does? Yep. Girls. Exactly. So we know the schedules. We know how things work. You know, not to say that men can't, but you know, it makes sense that they're like, okay, this is how we're going to do it. They work together. But it's an interesting show. It is all about family dynamics and where different people fit in, and kind of it's an interesting look at how people relate to each other, I think, and even in friendships and stuff, because they have to keep their friendships somewhat. They have to be able to work together for their kids to be around each other. For Robyn always says, if Kody's having a good marriage with his other wives, he'll have a good marriage with me. So it's important. It's a very interesting, the whole thing is very interesting to me. I'm fascinated by it. Obviously, 176 hours later. But I do want to say that I know that the Mormon Church now prefers to be called the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Oh, good to know.
Yeah. In all the research, it says Mormon a lot and stuff. So I do know that, and I tried to say it as much as I could, but it's talking back in years past whenever it did go by Mormonism. So there is a difference, and I know that's what they prefer to be called now.
Good to know. You know, I've loved Salt Lake, the new Housewives franchise, for many reasons, but one of them is that a lot of them, if they aren't presently practicing Mormonism or Church of the Latter-day Saints, right?
Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It's a mouthful.
Yeah, So a lot of the housewives, if they're not actively practicing LDS, they came from that family or that background or converted. And I find it fascinating. That's part of the reason I like that show, is there is this shared experience and history that a lot of the other shows don't have in terms of a religion and a community.
Right.
And they speak that language together. And I think it's really interesting.
Yeah.
So
I do too.
This is like a lot of religions has a, smaller faction, this more conservative fundamentalist group that's Sister Wives.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah, good. I'm glad. Let me tell you, it really did not come together until closer to yesterday or today. I was in full panic just trying to bring it. Hopefully it made sense, but we will put pictures up because it's a lot of people.
The family tree really helped. So that was great. I'm really glad they never went to jail. That's a big family to break up.
It is.
It
is. I know. And they, what would they do if Janelle wasn't working? I just don't know. She's such a hard worker.
She's the glue, I guess.
She is. Oh my gosh, she totally is. So Rebekah, do you want to talk about the things we're watching?
Other than Jen Shah updates? Yes. Yeah. Let's do that.
Perfect. Do you want to go first?
Sure. So I am a little bit late to this show. Shocker. I always feel like I'm saying that. I don't even know what season it's up to, but I just started season 1 of a Netflix show.
Okay.
And the clues I'm going to give you are Mad Men, robbery, Detroit suburb.
Oh, I don't know geography, so I'm already out.
It's Michigan.
Yeah, no, I know that's a state. I don't know.
Okay, so an actress from Mad Men is in this show. That's a little more helpful.
Good Girls.
Yes,
Good Girls.
Yes, Christina Hendricks.
Yes.
And it's in a Detroit suburb, which I've learned. Have you watched?
Yeah, I have. I haven't watched the most recent season, but I've watched several seasons. Yeah,
it's super fun.
It is.
It's not perfect.
No.
But I'm enjoying it, and it's what I've needed the last couple of weeks, just something I can have fun with. I like their dynamic. I think the acting is good. Again, sometimes it annoys me, and I feel like it could be even sharper.
Right.
But
they
I like
put it together in a very, they're always getting out of, precarious situations.
It's ridiculous.
So easily, where you're like, you have to suspend belief to get through it.
Absolutely.
But it is like a mindless, interesting, a little bit of action stuff going on, a little Breaking Bad-ish vibe on a female side, but in a much more dark comedy. It's not as dark at all.
Yeah, it's Breaking Bad light for women.
Yeah.
That might have been the log line in the pitch meeting.
A lot of caveats on that one. Yeah, and the guy from Scooby-Doo. Why can't I remember his name? Matthew Lillard. I'm like, wow, Matthew, where have you been?
Yes, I know he's got such a recognizable face and voice. I forgot his name, but yeah, they're really good.
Yeah, I enjoy it. It is like one of those that I just will play several in a row and
totally
mostly pay attention, but I could be doing laundry and I'm not going to miss a whole lot.
And if you miss something, you can like keep moving with the plot.
Yeah.
Just fine.
Totally. Okay, so mine is an HBO show.
I love HBO.
Yes, just came out.
Okay.
Ray Romano is one of the stars in it.
Oh.
Kristen Milotti is the other one. She was the mom in How I Met Your Mother, which I didn't watch that, but it was like a big deal. She was the mom. It's a dark comedy, and it's about a husband and wife kind of, where the husband owns like a tech company and a brain chip is involved, which doesn't sound like something I would like, but I am obsessed with this show.
I love Ray Romano, so I don't know what it is, but I really want to know because it sounds like something I'm going to watch.
Okay, it's called Made for Love, and it's on HBO. Ray Romano is the dad in this. He's kind of weird. Well, he's very weird and quirky. You'll see what I mean. But it's such a fun watch, but it's so different in that it's a relationship between a husband and wife. Everything's perfect. They live in like this cube. I don't want to give any more away, but just trust me on this. I don't like futuristic kind of stuff. So it's not way in the future. It could technically happen now, but I don't know. It's fascinating.
So
and funny.
intrigued. I'm so intrigued.
Oh, good. I think they're half-an-hour episodes.
Sold. You had me at Ray Romano on HBO. It feels like I'm going to love it.
I know. So there's been 3 episodes. 3 more come out on April 8th. And then I think 2 more after that. So yeah, you already get 3 right off the bat.
I enjoy that. I love I feel like I'm on the front end of a show for once.
Yay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've been dying to tell you that all week, but I had to save it till today.
I know. We're in like save it for the podcast mode a lot of the time. Well, speaking of the podcast, for the next one, I guess I'll tell a story.
Yes.
And I've got a few clues, but I'll be honest, it's a tough one to veil under clues. I feel like this is very obvious, but just here they are.
I'll play dumb.
Or you can say I know, and you can see if you're right in 2 weeks.
All right.
Okay. Chicago. What is it with me in the Midwest cities?
What is it with me and not knowing geography? So I'm already over it. I have no idea.
Okay. So Chicago, because apparently I love Midwest cities. Airplanes. Chasens. And Chasens is spelled CHASEN''S. And that is a proper noun. That's a place.
Not a clue in the world.
I tried to make it a little tough because there's so many like dead ringers. So yeah, you'll just have to wait.
Oh, I can't wait. This is exciting. Yay.
I hope so. Yeah, I just started, so we'll see. We'll see how this goes. But it's going to be really different from yours.
Well, I would hope so, because how many sister and brother getting married to each other can we do?
Can there be, really? Yeah. So yeah, you'll just have to wait, but I can't wait to tell you.
Yay. So Rebekah, where can people find you?
Every Wednesday, I have new episodes of Dialogue Podcast coming out, and you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Dialogue Pod.
Awesome. And you can find Moms and Murder every Tuesday on wherever you get your podcasts. I think it's Moms and Murder Pod on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. Man, I really wish I used Facebook more, but let's be honest, I don't.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Well, until next time, is that it?
That's it. I thought I'd let you close it. I just decided to sit in silence.
I know. I'm like, wait, is there a business we didn't think of? Oh, and you're also going to hear a promo for our friend's new podcast called Judgy and Juryish. That's by Jamie Rice, and you might know her from Murderish, her original podcast. Now she has a second one with her friend Jamie, and it's super fun. It's reality show recaps.
Yeah, perfect. I can't
Enjoy.
wait. Yeah. Okay, we will be back in 2 weeks, and Rebekah will be done. It'll be exciting. I can't wait. I want to Google things, but I'm not going to.
Don't do it.
And so I'm excited.
Talk soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, I'm Jamie. You might know me from Murderish, a true crime podcast. Well, I've got a new podcast called Judgy and Juryish, and I'm hosting it with my best friend since junior high.
That's me, Jessie. Every week on Judgy and Juryish, Jamie and I dish on our favorite reality TV shows, with judgy opinions coming in hotter than a Lady Morgan toaster oven.
We'll take you inside the drama, and when reality stars fight, best believe we are engaging.
Put on your She by Sheree joggers, pour a glass of Ramona Pinot Grigio,
Then search for and subscribe to Judgy and Juryish in your favorite podcast app.
and remember, fix your face and stay looking hot.
Because you don't want to end up with a crappy mugshot. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Criminality. If you're enjoying the show, please head over to Apple Podcast or wherever you listen and give the show a rating and review. The reality is it would be a crime to keep your thoughts to yourself.
And come join the fun outside of the podcast and follow us on social media. We are at Criminality Show on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Memes are welcome. We'll see you in 2 weeks with a new episode. Until then, you can catch my co-host Melissa on her weekly show, Moms and Murder.
And Rebekah Sebastian on her podcast, Dialogue, a true crime conversation. Don't forget, loving reality
Isn't a crime.